All right, dude. It's officially 2024, man. How we feeling? How are
The last episode
we
was
feeling?
officially 2024.
Ryan doesn't know we started the episode.
Oh, it's on?
We're on.
All right,
Keep it
let's
rolling.
just go.
Keep it
I was
rolling,
just looking at
baby.
my phone. I was like on Twitter.
I was like, Ryan really doesn't give a fuck about this podcast right now. He's just looking at his phone.
I was like, I
listening-
didn't hear anything.
Not listening to anything I'm saying.
Oh shit, dude! It was 2024 last week. Remember?
I know we pretended, but truly, it's truly 2024 right now.
It's 100% 2024. I'd like to just go ahead and set the record straight. My nips are fine. Thank you to everyone that reached out. The rock is gone. My pit is still pretty fucked up, but
Thank you to everyone that sent thoughts and prayers to.
yeah, they're giving me suggestions for ointments.
Yeah.
I didn't use any of them. I let the Lord take the nipple pain away.
Yeah, well, that's what he does, man.
That's what he does. He comes in. Once he gets his hands on you, he removes all the lumps behind your nips.
So what do you think happened to your nips?
I don't know. My skin's freaking the fuck out recently.
Do you think it's a weird,
the
like-
weather?
Do you think it might be like some sort of weird mutant like carp infection? Because I know that there is this thing that people don't know that you do, but like usually when you're out there in a canal by yourself after you catch a carp, you do this really weird thing that
Start rubbing
I've heard you do, but like you rub the fish down with both of your hands.
Well,
Like
because they have so much slime.
you take
on
the
them.
fish like this and you do this to the fish, and then you just like rub that carp juice on your nipples.
Yeah, and then
It's like a part of your victory thing you do. It's like some sort of ritual.
yeah, and then I walk into like usually like a little like tap house, and I'm just like, oh, sorry, I smell bad. I just caught a carp, and it's just covered in slime.
Yeah.
It could be that.
It
I don't
could
know.
have something
I
to
haven't
do
really
with
thought
it.
about it. It's yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe that's what fixed it.
My skin is going nuts right now. I don't know why. I think it's the weather. I think it's drying up.
Mm-hmm.
And my body doesn't.
I'm
know how to handle
I'm
it.
drying up too, dude.
I always get like weird skin. Like in the winter, like usually like my knuckles will start cracking and bleeding. I'm not having that at all.
My
But-
hands are doing that. They're dry.
I got it.
I got dry feet.
Yeah, my legs.
Yeah.
Everything's bad. I don't know. So I was looking up this whole armpit rash deodorant thing. I think it's a lot of people, they know what that's like. It fucking sucks. But for some reason, mine's not going away, and usually it goes away. And everybody's saying I have to get one now.
Sorry, do you have current armpit problems right at this moment?
Right now, it's how just my lefty, my right's strong.
Okay.
But it's huge. It's like swollen and inflamed, and it hurts really bad. And then I just keep putting deodorant on it, and it gets
That's
worse.
probably a good idea.
Well, I'm not gonna not wear deodorant. It's not fucking disgusting. I do have like a disgusting rash.
I mean, just half. You could. It's okay if it's only half of your body smells.
What
really
I need to
bad.
do is I need to probably go like a full week where I'm just tight sweater neck and tight sweater arms, and I detox from deodorant. Everybody's telling me I need to get something without baking soda in it. So like it's already got
Well,
no metal.
You know what deodorant has worked for me for a while?
Huh?
The Everyday Jack. Have you tried that one?
No.
It's called Everyday Jack. It's like I get it at Sprouts, but it's in the brown.
I know what you're talking about.
That one I think works, but here's the thing: if you've had a real long day, you need to apply a second one around 5 or 6 p.m. because it starts wearing.
Yeah. The native stuff, I like the smells and they're comfortable until your arm starts fucking bleeding in your sleep.
Or, well,
This
if
is
you're a
fucking- it
real
sucks,
if you're a real man, like my boy Matthew McConaughey, one time I saw him talk on Oprah, and he said that he doesn't even wear deodorant because he naturally just smells so good.
I believe that.
I do too, because
Yeah.
if you look at him,
He looks like he fucking smells like dog shit.
yeah,
He really does. If
But-
he's one of those people where you look at him and you think this guy probably does stink a little bit.
yeah.
He's a handsome man, but he's also
But he's also the
gotta-
type of person that could like not brush his teeth for 3 weeks, but then still convince you that his breath smells
you know
good.
Koreans don't get body odor.
Is that true?
Yeah. Google it.
I can't tell if he's just trying to make a joke right now.
No, look it up. Koreans like don't have like the body odor glands.
Really?
Yeah, so they can like run and
So
like,
they can
they'll
just-
get sweaty. But
So
I don't know if it's all of them, but I think like most of them
mm,
don't stink.
their shit don't stink.
Their shit don't stink.
Does their
Is that true?
They're missing a smelly gene, apparently.
Hey, what about their poop? Can you Google, do Korean people have poop that smells bad?
They probably have great poops because they eat so much like fermented kimchi and stuff. Their systems, they probably kind of got it
They
dialed
don't
down
even
over there.
poop. They don't even poop.
They don't. It's 100% efficiency. Their body absorbs everything.
It's just like everything they eat.
Everything they eat is like
biodegradable, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. We should go there.
Yeah, this is quickly turning into a science podcast.
Well, my friend is in my friend's in Thailand right now, and with his family, and I wanted to go very badly, but
I want to go to Thailand.
it looks sick. I was like, dude. He was like sending me pictures of like the food market out there. I was like, you got to just be shitting your pants the whole time. And he's like, I'm the only person out of all like 9 of us that have not gotten food poisoning yet. So I'm going to get an update.
Wow.
See if Dylan Faye.
Yeah.
Dylan Faye's got a little rocky stomach as it is.
Oh, Dylan's out there right now?
Yeah.
Cool.
His dad like retired and got like a dope house out there for like 2 months. And so the whole family went out to go visit him.
Oh, wow.
And stuff. So
that's pretty
it was
cool.
pretty dope. But yeah, I can't imagine. That's like we're talking to our friend Rohan, who is one of Andy's good friends, and he goes to India, and
he was
like,
there for a month.
I was sick the entire time. He's like, by the end of it, I was only eating yogurt and rice, and that's all I could eat. That's what everybody I know that's been to India is like sick the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
Deli belly, baby.
Yeah,
they get that deli belly.
Well, I think it's your body, not your gut isn't used to the bacteria that's in different parts of the world.
Well,
so
yeah,
you have to
like Mexico.
You have to adjust first, and then you're fine.
It probably takes a while.
Yeah,
it's not like a 2-week adjustment. I don't think.
Well, I don't know. I mean, most people get sick for like a week, and then they're good.
But then you can just eat whatever. Like if you go to Mexico and you drink the sink
I don't.
water,
I don't know anyone that like goes traveling for 2 or 3 months and is sick the whole time. You know those people?
I don't know anybody that travels that long. Period. I don't think. I know a couple weekers at most.
Yeah.
I know I really want to like travel more places, but my fear of food poisoning is definitely holding me back. It's really
Where else in the world do you think would be interesting to travel to?
I really want to go to Thailand, but I know I'll be sick the whole time, and then I'll be like on like a hot bus somewhere, and I'll be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
I feel fucking horrible, and I can't think of anything worse.
Dude,
or like getting on the plane coming home. That's my biggest fear. I think is feeling that sick on a plane. That'd be fucking horrible.
I want to go to Switzerland.
Me too.
I also want to go to Japan.
Me too.
Japan seems really interesting.
I want to
just
go to
because
Taiwan,
it's so
too.
far off, just so different from where we live. I think those are the places that I'm interested, because we've been able to tour the country so much in the US, and like I've traveled through Europe too, so like I feel, and Europe really is still similar in some sense to the States in a lot of ways. But when you start going to like when I went to Bali, it was such a culture shock.
Yeah.
And I find it really interesting traveling to places like that, because it's like, oh my, you like get to see how other people live life that's so much different than the way we live life. And it really kind of expands. I think it does like help expand your consciousness a little bit when you see how big the world is and how different the world is from what you're used to.
Yeah. Like all I've been to is like Italy and Spain, and
Italy was so cool.
The UK. Spain was fucking dope.
Spain
I think like
so
when I
cool.
was in Barcelona, I was like, dude, I could like stay like a couple months here, I think. And it was like right like after Andy died, and I was
And
like,
just become-
I'm going to move here. I was like freaking the fuck out. I didn't know what to do. I was like, dude, I should just like rent out here has got to be cheap. I could probably just like stay here for a couple months.
Dude, you could just like burn everything you own, move to Spain,
Yeah.
buy like a nice, like, you know, old like black coat, get a hat that has a feather that comes out of it.
a red flag.
Well, you
for the
take
Bulls?
the feather out of your hat and you sit at a coffee shop and you dip it in ink and you're writing a book
Yeah.
while you're drinking espresso, and that's your new life.
What's the book called?
Tale of Three Cities.
It's the 3 most sick I've ever been on the road.
Right, A Tale of Three Cities by Ryan Weddle, and it's just a diary of the 3 worst food poisoning situations. In your
Yeah.
life.
So like,
But it's your new life. You're living out there in Spain, and all you do, you don't talk to anyone anymore. You're just writing with an ink dipped feather.
dude, it was so dope. It's just like the food is so fucking good. The city is beautiful. The people are pretty cool. It's like it's like a little edgier than like.
Did you go
other
to
places.
Madrid?
No, well, like we stayed in Madrid, but I didn't go anywhere
Okay.
in Madrid. So it was like the night before I had to leave super early in the morning. So we just got in and kind of stayed at the hotel. But I really want to go to Madrid. I really want to go back out there.
We walked around in Madrid by all the beautiful statues and historic buildings and stuff. I don't even see. I said Madrid as if I know anything about Madrid. I was there for a day, but
Dude,
I just remember being in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And it was such a crazy thing because I had never really experienced something like that.
I don't know, being in a different country and sipping an ICB with like just some fresh cuts of ham in front of you, like it doesn't get a whole lot better than that. It really doesn't. ICBs, ice cold brews in the morning, and you're just like, oh, I'm standing on a beach in Spain. I'm about to eat some fucking wild food tonight. It's just bread and fucking ham.
Oh, the bread.
It's so good. Everything out there.
So
you walk by and there's just like, and like Spain is known for their like pork and stuff. And like they have like their pigs are like the Wagyu of pork, you know?
Is that why they have the legs just chilling
Yeah,
with the
so
skin
like you get
falling
the
off of
fucking,
it and in the market?
the
when you're
Iberico
outside?
ham. And it's like
Is
in
that what it's
America,
called?
yeah, in America it's so fucking expensive. But out there it's like, they're giving you samples. We walk by and you're like, oh shit. And just everywhere you go, it's fucking.
The coolest thing to me about Europe was how all of the gas stations had massive self-serve espresso machines.
I didn't
It's
go to
like-
a single gas station.
Yeah. Well, the only reason I went to some is because the bus was pulling over, and if you had to poop,
Yeah.
you're going into the gas station,
Yeah.
and sometimes you gotta poop.
Sometimes you do on tour.
Sometimes you
it
gotta
does
poop on
happen.
tour.
Usually at least once a day. I walked into it when we were in London and I was like, where's the bathroom? And you go in and there's like a urinal area, and it was the skinniest hallway, and it was just like 3 urinals all in a row where it's like everyone that pees pretty much has to stare at the other one while they pee. It was the weirdest fucking thing. They got some weird shit out there. It's
a collaborative.
We really kind of figured things out in America. Once we came over here, we're like, hey, let's not do bathrooms like that anymore.
Dude, after spending a month over in Europe, I came back to the U.S. the most patriotic version of Stravs you'll ever see. By the time we got home, I was like, America fucking rules. It's the best country in the fucking world.
It's like I liked being there, but I knew
I don't
like
care
you
what
told me
anyone
that
says,
you're like, dude, like you'll honestly get like a better appreciation for America while you're out there.
What'd you
And I'll be
think?
like walking around like, the dopest like Florence, Italy, like the most beautiful fucking place ever. I'm like, yeah, I kind of miss like New York City. And like like
Well,
home is
I know.
like it's
Yeah,
not, I
and-
kind of
well,
miss it. America.
Okay, so that part of it though is so, that is what's truly so much more impressive than where we have grown up, because there's so much more history. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the most beautiful city I've ever been to in my life, hands down, was Prague when we went to the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
Because there's just beautiful like religious historic statues that have been there for like, it's one of the oldest cities in the world, I believe. Stevie, can you look that up? Can you see how old Prague is? Because I believe it's like, it's just, I had never seen a city that it looks like something you'd see in a movie, dude. It was just wild, like brick.
I remember thinking that like
roads
even
and,
as soon as we got off the plane, we landed in London, and just like the drive to our hotel, and you see like just every house was just like, that's older than anything that exists in America. Like,
yeah,
it's older than, it's just like these places where just everything was so historic. And like London was cool. I'd like to go back now that I'm less like full of anxiety and I feel like I'd actually enjoy myself there. But that was the thing about like Florence, and you're just like on these cobblestone roads that are like, the beginning of time. And you're just like,
for
is
real.
it insane?
And there's so much history, and
Yeah.
you think to yourself like, man, how many people have prayed inside of this church that I'm standing in right now? You went to the Sagrada de Familia, right? Did you walk inside?
I didn't go inside.
Oh man, I wish you would have went
I know.
inside.
I was
It
panicking.
was the most, I don't know how to literally say it without sounding cheesy, but it was the most breathtaking feeling ever walking inside of that church.
Dude, standing
I have
outside of it
never-
was like,
I've-
it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
Bro.
You see it from so far away and you're like, oh, we're getting close, and you're not anywhere near.
It is epic.
Yeah.
It is insane.
You know that little park like right across from it?
Uh-huh.
We were like walking around that, and then we like landed at the front, and you just like look all the way up, and it's like the most wild looking fucking building. And like all the,
So
we're
beautiful,
going like these
man.
cool restaurants and like little bars, and like the village is like the highest buildings and the smallest like skinny walkways that are just like winding through. And you're just like, damn, this is
Mhm.
really cool.
How old is Prague?
8th century, it says.
Eighth? 8?
8th century.
What does that even mean?
So
Like,
the
how
700
long?
with the 7,000s,
That is
the 700s, seven.
So that's like over 1,000.
that's crazy.
The 700s, yeah, not 7,000. It's damn, that's nuts. I can't even like think that far.
Dude, it was
that hurts my head.
it was
I was thinking
so
about that.
it was so epic, dude. You know what's kind of wild? Sorry, this is gonna get all like depressing and shit fast, but there was just a mass shooting in the Czech Republic, and I saw a video of everyone screaming and running across the bridge in Prague that we walked across, and it's the bridge that has these like epic, huge like religious like statues. The Charles Bridge,
Charles
yeah.
Do you have a mic, Stevie? You can chime in. You don't have a mic? Damn.
But
All right, we'll just repeat everything you say.
yeah, I sent it to John, singer of the Main, because he was in the band that I went to Europe with, and it's kind of wild, dude. We literally walked across that bridge, and there was just like a really horrific mass shooting there, and I guess there's like a school that's right by the bridge that someone just killed a ton of people at.
What was
Really
it like
sad.
being out in Europe when the pandemic started happening? Because like you guys were in Italy, and then it was wiping out like hundreds of Italians.
Well, here's what's funny is like I remember when we got on the plane to start the tour, and we flew out from Arizona to go to London. The Main's manager, Tim, he gave us a pack of masks, but it wasn't in this serious way. It was almost like this kind of, we were like all kind of laughing about it.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't like, the pandemic hadn't fully broken out yet, but
Well, this was like
COVID,
February, right, of 2020?
it was January of,
Okay.
yeah, it was January. So we get out to Europe, and basically we played in Milan, Italy, and then a week after we had played in Milan, Italy, that's when COVID started breaking out in Milan.
Yeah.
So it was
And
essentially
like it was like
following
what? It was like
us.
killing a lot of people out there too.
Yeah,
because
so
they
in
have more old people out there than anywhere
I
else.
believe in Milan. Milan was like the first big outbreak that was started. I
Well,
can't
Wuhan.
remember. Well, yes, obviously that. But I'm saying in Europe, right?
No, yeah, I think it was.
So so anyways, yeah, it was kind of like following us when we were out there, but it wasn't a huge thing until literally 2 days after we flew home. So like we almost got stuck out there.
And then we all like Katastro started
And
a
I got
tour
sick.
2 weeks later.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, you were sick.
well, right when I got home, I was sick.
Yeah.
And I told the guys in the Main, like, yo, I feel like shit. And John called me immediately when I sent that to the group chat with all the guys in the Main. And he was like, damn, you really think you have COVID? And I was like, I don't know. I feel like shit, but I'm starting my tour at Katastro. And I was like laying in the van with you guys.
Yeah.
And
Dude, we were
I ended
like,
up-
yo, don't breathe.
yeah.
It was like,
Well, it was
it
also
was
really
before it
scary
even
because no
happened.
one knew what the fuck it was and how
Nobody knew anybody
serious
that had
was,
it.
and
Yeah.
like
It was scary, dude. I remember being on that tour though, and then like the second show was in like some place where it was just not good, and I was kind of like, God, I hope COVID shuts this tour down. Our tour manager had quit. I was trying to run. I just programmed all those fucking lights to our set, and like I spent hours like getting our whole set programmed to lights to Ableton. But I had to tour manage and set up the lights because nobody knew how to set up the lights. And I was just like, I was 2 days into it. I was like, dude, I can't do this. Like, this is why we hire people. And it was only going to be like a 2-week thing. And then that night, like all these places start shutting down. We're in fucking Vegas. And we're like, what the fuck's going on? We drive to Flagstaff.
we played the Flagstaff show. We woke up in Flagstaff, and then our agent called us and was like, hey, everyone's shutting down. Like
Yeah.
all the tours are shutting down right now. And we were like, what? That was a surreal feeling, bro. I remember all of us sitting we were all at a coffee shop in Flagstaff across the street from the venue. And when we got that phone call, it was so funny because at the point that we were at as a band, we had just kind of done a fuck ton of touring, and we
So
were
much,
already
yeah.
in this mood of like, hey, we want to write new music, but we didn't have time for
I
it.
think I was like super fucking burnt out, like for sure. Cause we,
Dude,
like you said,
I
we had just toured like 8 months. So it was like multiple months, and then we'd be home for like 3 weeks, and then we'd go for like a month and be home for like a month. And it's just like
It was
this
on, off,
nonstop.
on, off, on, off, yep.
And like we were doing hard tours where we were like setting up massive things before every show. So it's like every morning you're carrying fucking cement buckets into the venue and like setting all this shit up. And it was just like, it wasn't as we didn't have as much time to like actually chill and like get in the right mindset. So it was just kind of like hard work, and it never got to like this is fun. And I remember just once we started that next tour and realizing how much it was going to be even more work and like how hard it already had been feeling, and we had already been out for a long time. And I was just like, bro, and they're like, hey, the whole country's shutting down. Like your shows in Colorado and your shows in Washington are all canceled. And we're just like, all right, so we'll just take like a week off. And then once this is over, we'll go meet up in like Texas or whatever it was.
And then it didn't end. And then they locked everyone down. And then luckily, like looking back, I'm so glad that we said fuck it and we still all met up and like went and got a house and like, because at that time, I mean, it was really scary because you don't know what the fuck this virus is and what it's gonna do. And so we get home, we cancel our tour, we decide like, all right, well, if we can't tour, let's make an album. Like let's keep writing.
Yeah.
And I remember all of us being relieved that the tour, this sounds bad, but like, cause sorry for any of the fans who were excited to see that tour, but like it's
probably for the best.
It was probably for the best for the band, mentally where we were at. And I just got done doing a whole Europe tour. I was like, I was burnt too. So we, Andy's buddy, shout out Cabo Dave.
Cabo Dave
owned a piece of property in North Phoenix, and he offered us, he said, you guys need a place to write? Like, why don't you just go write in one of my houses? And so he had this like, basically essentially like empty house that didn't even have furniture in it. And we pulled our van and trailer up to it and moved all of our gear into this house. So we had the drum set up, all the guitars. I brought all my recording equipment there, and we started writing what we didn't know was Sucker.
Right.
So, basically the first like 1/3 of the writing of that album was done at that house. Yeah. I have it saved in my computer as sessions at Union Hills, because the road was called Union Hills that we would get off of.
I think it's that like Paradise Valley area.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, dude, and it was kind of like we were so rested and ready because most of our song like writing stuff was like, you guys have 2 weeks to write an album, and then we need to start putting it out, and then you guys are gonna be back on tour and you're gonna be doing all this shit. And we were all burnt out, but because of COVID, like we had to stay home, and we hadn't had to stay home ever, so it's like everybody had just gotten off of like being at home for like 3 months, 4 months at least, or probably like 2 or 3 months of just like not leaving, not doing anything. And then it was kind of fun because like it kind of felt like you weren't supposed to be out doing anything.
Oh,
we were all together.
I mean, we were
like,
meeting up pretty soon though. It was pretty
soon.
I'm pretty sure that we all started meeting up like a couple weeks after the government.
You might be right. I think because we were like,
to.
hey, we're already planning on being gone at this time. We already told our families we're going to be gone. So like we can justify it more if we're like, hey, we're going to do 2 weeks here, and then we could still go home for dinner and stuff.
Yeah.
But
it was funny too, because I remember, Andy was the first one that ended up getting COVID and then giving it to me. And I remember us being really frustrated with Andy because he didn't give a fuck. He's like, I'm not fucking staying home. Like he's still going out and partying and still meeting up with everyone. And like now looking back, it's like funny. And like
at the time though, you're like, dude, what the fuck?
In retrospect, it's like, oh, well, whatever. But at the time we were all like, dude, fucking stop going out. Cause like none of us want to get whatever the fuck this is.
He would come to like, I remember we were like filming a music video or something, and he was like sick, and he wouldn't admit he was sick, but he didn't tell me until after. He was like, dude, try this drink. And I took sips out of his glass. He's like, I'm just not feeling great. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? It's like fucking COVID. You just hear of all these people dying. You have no idea what's going on. And he's like actively sick. He was just out at, a party every single night probably.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, bro, you can't do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting. I mean, have we ever even like talked about Sucker on the podcast, or like broken down like how the album was really made?
I don't know. Should we just do that?
I mean, we're kind of already there.
Yeah.
I feel like this should become a Sucker episode or
Let's
something.
do it.
But like, so yeah, I mean, because really the COVID lockdowns were a big reason why Sucker even was made and why it happened.
Yeah,
because throughout that year when touring didn't exist, we were able to take our time finally and make an album, because any other album we had made before, Washed, Strange Nights, No One No Lotus. Like all of these albums were done in like 2-week periods where like we had allotted time with a producer and had like paid the money up front to like, all right, this is the time you get and this is how we're making the album.
Yeah.
So it's like you just got to get it done in 2 weeks. And Sucker was the first time where we could just write and write and write and revise and write and chop songs and make new ones. And like we did that for a year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was at least a year, I'd say. But it was cool because there was just no stress because it's like there's no point in releasing an album while COVID is still going on. So there was
because
no,
we didn't
like,
know when we could tour again.
Because like, you can't
Yeah.
tour, which is a weird contrast to like where we've been recently because we can't tour again. And it's like, how do you go through that? But with Sucker, it's just, we had to take our time and it made us focus more. And instead of being in the, hey, we're a band that can write like a dope album in 8 days, we're like, let's see how dope of an album we can make in a year, you know, because there's no stress. And luckily we owned almost all of our albums. So we still had income from like Spotify and stuff like that. And so it was like one of those times where we had nothing to do. Nobody could go to work. Nobody had like really any excuse. And we just got together and made like songs. And it was also one of the first albums where we were really like, making songs for ourselves, but also keeping in mind like what do we think that our fans are going to want to hear. And I know that's generally kind of like a bad idea to like be like, oh, like I'm making this music for other people or anything, but we found this really good balance with how it was like we wanted to make like an upbeat, fun album because everything around us was fucking scary and weird and everybody was upset. Like everybody was angry online and it was just all this shit was going on. People are fighting all the time. And we're like, let's just make a song about like having fun, being with your friends. And we were still
and that's
having
what we
fun
were doing,
being with our friends. Yeah. So it's like that we kind of get through like, first couple weeks we were at Cabo Dave's place and then we went up to Globe a couple times, right?
Yeah. So the first couple weeks of making Sucker or the first month or so was at that house in North Phoenix.
Yeah.
And then we brought Matt down to help further just kind of keep recording stuff and keep working things out. And then we did, I believe, like 2 weeks at his place in Globe.
Yeah.
And then we had just moved into the studio that we're currently in right now.
Damn, that was that long ago?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
We've been in there for about 3 years now, I believe.
That's crazy.
A couple years. And so what's really cool is that the studio that we currently, Kamp Records, our studio in Tempe, is where we finished Sucker. So that like the last like third of the album was done there. I remember tracking drums for like Pocket Full of There and like I can't remember.
Well,
what other songs,
I do remember now because
it was like where we finished the album.
There was a writing session that you and Andy and our friend Austin Jones, who was like just an assistant for Matt Keller, and we're actually going to have him on the podcast.
We are
next week, maybe.
Yep.
But it's where you had like your own writing session. I was busy. For some reason, me and Tanner couldn't go. And so you guys came up with like the very bare bones of 100 Rips, which became one of the bigger songs on the album.
The main drum loop you hear right when the song starts, that was recorded that day.
Yeah.
With just one mic above the drums.
And then it was just
and then it was just a sub bass line. It was like the
notes.
The super simple sub bass line with like the drum loop and then like a reggae guitar thing that Austin played.
That we ended up cutting, I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then but yeah, that was like the demo for 100 Rips.
Anything that Austin did, we cut.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe after we did that song, it kind of spurred up this whole new wave of like where we could take things.
Well, and also we had just gotten off the back of, we had been asked to do a cover of a Sublime song for this big compilation that was supposed to come out and help out like the Bradley Noel Foundation. And so we did our version of Scarlet Begonias, and which is Sublime's cover of a Grateful Dead track. And I remember opening up that song and being like, we need to bring back some more of that Grateful Dead vibe because I think it's two of like the most diehard fan bases. And I think there's a way that we can kind of bring out more of that jam band feel into it. And with that, in coming up with our own version of like what sounded like Katastro, and it didn't sound like we took inspiration from the Sublime stuff, but then we also brought in a little more Grateful Dead stuff, which was kind of off of all of our radars. Like none of us were really into that. And then that was kind of, oh, this is like different and it's very unique. And then 100 Rips came out, and we started adding like some more like jammy parts that were a little bit kind of reminded me of like what we had started coming up with for the Scarlet Begonias thing beforehand. And eventually we didn't put it on that thing, and we just released the single ourselves. But there was this cool thing where like we had started coming up with this new vibe that was like a little more brighter, a little more fun. The times were like really dark and weird, so we wanted it to be happy and make people feel good. And then 100 Rips was like this like driving like dope song. And so the day after you guys did the 100 Rips, me and Austin Jones and Andy were in our studio, and for some reason you guys couldn't make it, and we came up with Pocket Fulla.
Yeah.
And we did like the bass line, the synths, and the main like vocal part.
I remember when I heard that demo, like when we were in the middle of writing Sucker, that song was immediately one of my favorites on the album, and I knew it was going to be, I just like, even though I wasn't in the room when it got started, I was like, this is going to be sick.
It was like,
and it's still one of my favorite songs to listen to. Like I feel like when I hear that song and I'm in the car, even if I'm by myself, it makes me feel like I'm with my friends, and I'm like, we're just cruising.
Yeah. Well, and that's why like I like 100 Rips is one of those like, it's just fun. You want to like party time. Like Drop Top is like, you know, we made it, it's kind of just you're hanging with the boys at night, and it's like kind of like a chiller party. And stuff.
I remember Andy specifically saying to me, I want to write songs that are like nice to girls and not like talking shit to them.
Yeah.
He's like, I've written a lot of stuff about what they've done that's mean to me and stuff, or like my problems with girls. Like I want to make songs that are nice to girls.
Well, in our last two
and
albums,
I was like, that's
dark.
Good.
Yeah.
I think you're going in the right direction.
We did. I mean, we did Wash, which is super dark, and it's just all about like addiction and crazy fucking stories, and it's kind of like weird depression, mental headspace. And then Tropical Heartbreak was a similar kind of vein, and then to come out of that and just come out with this like new sound kind of that still sounds like us, and it's like all these things together kind of made it where it's like the world's in a weird place. We're all individually like forced to rest for the first time in a while, and forced to like be together with no expectations of what we can do. And it's just like, hey, let's make the best we can do and bring in some of our good friends. And it like, you know, me and Andy were doing Zoom calls with our friend Colton Avery when he was working in London with
That's
the band.
how we made Naked, right?
That's how we made Naked. Was we came up with the song, we could not figure out what the melody was going to be, and we're like, I was like, I love the song, I love the feel of it, but we just could not come up with a melody. And we got on with our friend. He's lived in Arizona, but he had been living in London for a little bit. He's like, "Hello, what up, mate?" And like, and he's just doing these like Zoom calls where it's like the middle of the night for us and like morning for him, and it was just kind of like, everybody, we all kind of came together. We reached out to like all of our good friends and just like did everything we can to make a really dope album. And to me, Sucker is like, it's one of the most Katastro. It sounds like we like found our sound that we were looking for. Like obviously Wash is like that too, but it shows growth and like where we were at as like people in a band.
For me, when we put Sucker out, I feel like the drums on that album and the way that they sound and the way that me and Matt were able to work together to like get the drums, they sound like the way I always wanted my drums to sound on a record. And it was like really exciting to have the time to just do all the fun, cool little weird things that I do. Like, I want to pick up a Hydro Flask and hit it a bunch in front of the mic to see what kind of percussion loop I can make. It's like we took the time to do weird shit like that on the album.
Well, especially he had just gotten that house in Globe that has this massive room that
and
like
the drums sound,
you do the drums in the living room
there.
that's like 20-foot ceilings.
Yeah, the drums in that room are a cheat code, dude. It's like they instantly just sound big and roomy and
well, we had just come off of, like I said, like Washed and Tropical Heartbreak, which was very production heavy, and we always knew we're like a live band. People come to see us for our live shows. We sound our best live, and we know how to do that. And I remember it was like a main thing of like, let's make an album that we know is gonna go well live, and like we brought back so much more. Hey, we're a fucking band.
It sounds
and
like
I'm so
the
happy
band.
we did that.
Yeah, it sounds like the band.
Yeah, and it's just like
John
hear
T,
us all
bro. When's the
playing,
last time you listened to John T?
Long time.
Guitar solo at the end.
Yeah, they're just like we all are like.
sick.
There's more real instruments on it, and we still kept, what we liked about having production and stuff like that. But it felt more like a Katastro album and like what we were we found like the best of both worlds, I think.
Yeah. I think it was really exciting too, because when we ended up finally putting the album out, you know, we did our biggest album release show to date was, you know, the release of Sucker. And we did 2 nights in a row at Marquee Theater, which is a theater that we've grown up playing since we were 18.
Yeah.
And, dude, I have mentioned this on the podcast before, but I'll never forget the look on Andy's face when everyone started and the crowd started singing The Way I Feel. Because the album had just came out, I believe, like a day or two before the show, right?
Yeah, I don't think it was that long.
I'm pretty sure we like released the album like a week.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And I remember we had this plan to play The Way I Feel and stop at the last chorus and do like a false, like, oh, they think the song's over, and then hit the chorus again one more time.
Yeah.
And we had no idea that the crowd was going to keep singing. So like we stop and we thought they were just going to cheer. And instead they all start singing the chorus again. And Andy just looked back at me like, oh shit, like, do we come back in? And like it perfectly, bro, like my count perfectly matched up with the crowd. And we all just went back
Came back in, yeah.
And it was like the most perfect, surreal, like, yes, this moment was supposed to happen and this was just like destined. Like it was such a cool feeling.
That was like one of those moments where you're like, oh, this song's like special and people are really liking this. And then we start getting all these opportunities and we're doing the thing at the Suns.
Yeah, we played the Suns Arena.
And, you know, we're playing that there and you see people in the crowd that you don't know, like that know the words. And you're like, we didn't tell anybody we were going to be here.
Yeah.
It's like that thing. And it's just all these like small little things. We get booked at Red Rocks again and we did all this stuff. Like I think
and the tour, I mean,
like,
dude, the headlining tour that we did. Well, wait, did we even do a headlining Sucker tour? I'm having trouble remembering.
Yeah, we had to have.
Was Sucker what we were doing for the Iration tour?
I don't remember.
It's so hard to remember like where we were at with certain things.
Especially with those people, because it's like we toured with Iration like 7 times. So it's hard to remember like which Iration tour. I think we definitely did do a Sucker tour.
Yeah, we did.
I don't know if we did. I think we just did like a few shows. We did like Colorado and
well, I just remember
New Mexico.
What I do remember is after putting Sucker out, I remember noticing that things were definitely amping up and things were changing. And I knew for a fact that I just knew that we were going to be successful with what was happening.
Right. And we did do a handful of shows because I remember being like every show had doubled in size, you know, and it's like even in like small cities like Pueblo, Colorado, we did 2 nights there and we sold out both of them. And then we went to Denver and we sold out like the small room. And we went to New Mexico. It was like a small venue. It was always kind of like a harder city for us, but also we had like really diehard fans that were there. So like the people that were there were like very serious about the band, and like that one sold out and we're like, oh. And the guy is talking to us and he's like, next time you guys are here, I'm gonna have to book you guys at this next venue, which we never got to play at. But it was like, it was just all this exciting stuff where we're getting all these opportunities. We're getting bigger tour opportunities. We're getting better positions on these tours and better
the
pay.
Reception too live. Like I remember immediately realizing like a week after the songs came out, like while we were playing these shows, like the reception of everyone knowing the words and the songs just came out was like, oh shit, dude, it's happening. Like we're a real band now. Like people, the word is spreading. Everyone knows the songs. They're all singing at the shows. And like, I remember just playing The Way I Feel in like these different cities and just seeing the way people were like connecting and like heavily being affected by the new songs. Like, this is wild.
Yeah. I mean, it was
because we had just worked for so long to make it to that point, but you don't even realize what it's going to feel like until you make it to that point.
Even like one of those last, like just everything was getting so much bigger. Like we went and we played at Reggae Rise Up in Florida, and we were on like not the main stage but the other like big stage that's to the side, and it was fucking packed. And I was always like, there's a huge artist playing at the exact same time as us, and I'm just like, you never know if everybody's going there for that fucking artist. Nobody's gonna see you, you know. And it was like, I remember looking out, and at first it was like bare, and then like 5 minutes into our set you just see people running from every direction to come see our set, and I was like, what the fuck? And then we had to run and we had to go do a VIP, like a meet and greet.
We got
so we did for free with Sierra Nevada.
And there
'cause they were
was hundreds of
sponsoring
people
us.
in line for that. I couldn't. We had no idea.
Yeah, no.
That
I was like, dude, it's gonna be like 20 minutes. Like, there's gonna be like 20 people, and then we'll go eat, and we have another show later on tonight. So it's like our third show of the thing. And I just remember sitting there being like, dude, we're never gonna get out of this. It was like hundreds of people waiting there to meet us, and it was such a cool feeling where you're just like, this is what we've wanted. You know, this is like what we've been working towards.
Yeah,
it's starting to actually happen.
For sure. And I'm able to like see it from different angles now too, the older I'm getting. Like, even if you know, say like whatever, say we never get to experience that again in life, which I hope we do, but like I am so grateful to even like have been able to experience that, because that feeling that you get when you're doing something that you truly love and that you're talented at with people that you truly love and care about.
Yeah.
And that thing you're doing with them is also bringing other people together and allowing them to experience the joy that you get out of it, is such a fucking incredibly amazing thing that I hope that people in life, like I hope that everyone gets to experience the way that feels someday, even if it's not from that specifically, but like that feeling of doing something that you love with people that you love and providing that feeling to other people. It's just such an epic feeling, dude. And
on top of that, it's like you've spent your entire life on hyper focus on this one, you know, hypothetical goal, and living almost like pure abandonment with everything you do, because this is like your fucking thing. And there's so much doubt along the way, and there's so many times where you're like, this isn't worth it. And having those moments where everybody's singing your song and the song just came out and you're like, oh, this is different than anything we've ever done before. And all those people waiting in line at the VIP, and then doing Red Rocks, and we get our own VIP, and it used to be like 3 people would pay to do it, and we had to like cap it because too many people wanted to go. And it's just like, it's like, it's validation as well on like this dream that you had, that you start wondering like, am I fucking delusional? And it's like, no, it's like, you're not. Like, this is happening.
Dude,
you know?
I was just going to say, like, ego aside, because here's the thing. There's like I sat with Austin and Lauren last night, and we were talking about this at the studio, but like the idea of like, you know, how do I enjoy the things that being an artist, the gifts that you get being an artist, how do I enjoy those when I know that some of it, my ego also like truly loves it? Because like the truth is, like, when you're on stage and people are clapping for you and they love the music you're making, your ego does love that. It feels good to feel validated and feel like, oh, word, like our band's the shit or whatever. But that aside, I think like, I don't know, the ability to look around in a room and see like, I'm not delusional. They believe in this dream too. Like they believe that this is something that's worth it. And like all those things you just said, like all the fucking nights where you're packing the van in snow, like after a shitty ass show where there's only 15 people there in Wisconsin on a Tuesday night, and you're like reevaluating your whole life. You're like, fuck, am I going down the wrong path? Like, is my band really going to
all
make
your
it?
friends are becoming successful and have their families?
Yeah, exactly. Like other bands that you're friends with are making a lot more money than you. They're like, they are really moving forward in their lives, and you're feeling stuck, and there's just so much fucking self-doubt, so that when those moments do happen, it is this sign of like, oh, I'm not delusional. What I believe in, which is Katastro, they believe in it too. So we're all here together to believe in this thing that doesn't necessarily exist. We're all just participating in it. Do you know what I mean? It's like so fucking cool, dude.
You have this one thing and you love it so much, and you keep showing it to everybody, and they're like, I love that you love that so much. And eventually everybody in like the fucking world is like, oh, we love that too. And you're like, it's mine, and I had a part in this. And like, I love this. And everybody else is, you know, it's just this, there is no more exciting feeling. And the fucked up thing is, I think at the moment, like I wasn't seeing that for what it is. And now it's a different perspective, you know, having Indie Pass and like reevaluating everything and just looking at things completely different. But like that moment after Sucker, the whole process of doing Sucker, releasing it, playing shows, and all the opportunities that album brought us, and all the new fans that it brought us, and new friends across the country that we've been able to meet and stay with. And, you know, I still keep in touch with all these people all the time. You know, every week we're talking to all these guys, and it's like, it was the most beautiful, exciting, fun time. There's all these other exciting times when you're getting our first tour and all those other cool things, but like that was where you're like kind of made everything that was hard and everything that I doubted and everything that I hated about, you know, what I was doing, it made it all worth it. And I was like, you know, you realize we already had done what I was hoping that we would eventually do. It's like I already had it, you know?
Yeah, Sucker. Yeah, man. I think the Sucker era for Katastro was a very validating time period in the band.
Yeah.
Where we could see see the ways that we had grown and also be like really excited for the future.
And it breathes so much life into like everything, because it's like Wash got like this really big pop, and then like Trouble Got Heartbreak was, I think, just like, in my opinion, was like more too dark and kind of too, I don't know, it's just like, to me it was like almost too much of this like dark, depressing thing. It's like there was this total uncertainty in our band at the time, and then we just came together without fear and without like a real goal other than to make the best thing we possibly could, and we tried something new and it fucking worked, and it like helped us out tremendously. It still helps us out tremendously just having that out there. It's like I'm probably the most proud of that album just because it's, to me, we found what we were doing. I think everything we've ever tried to do since then it's become kind of like a baseline of like, we need to push boundaries, we need to bring things back that we miss and we love about our band. You know, we're the ones that can bring it back, and we can bring back more of a live band sound.
Yeah.
We can still do the cool production stuff we love. And
yeah, it's cool how we legitimately have a sound as a band.
yeah, it took us a while.
It took us
A long
17 years. We've been a band for
Almost 16 years.
17 years, I think, dude. Yeah.
Damn, that's too long.
It's pretty wild. So yeah, like after going through all that stuff, putting Sucker out, it's like, yeah, obviously things were just going up, you know? Yeah. And now it's like, all right, there's now a new beginning on the horizon.
Yeah. And it's like a new,
it's not what we
that's
thought
also
it was
kind of
be.
what made the fall down harder, was because you felt like it was almost in arm's reach, you know, and you felt
it was, yeah.
And then everything was just so exciting. And
yeah.
It's just like, we had all these feelings. We're like, dude, we're getting all these crazy opportunities. We're getting to write with these people, and we're getting people in like
massive
people in the industry actually paying attention to us and being like, hey, like we want to work with you guys and we want to do this. And you're just like, this is nuts. And then to feel like all that goes away is what made it even harder to go through it. But at the end of the day, I don't know if it just, everything kept going the way it was, would I ever sit down right now and look back at like the time that we made Sucker and think of it as like for what it was? And it's like, there was this massive launching point for us. And the album was, you know, our most successful album we ever released. And it's just, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah, man. It's really interesting how, losing Andy really is I think the only way I could like truly learn to appreciate the band. And
I don't think I would have ever slowed down. And I don't think I ever would have worked on myself the way I've been working on myself for the last like 2 years, you know?
Same.
I think I would still be I'm still a mess. Mostly my armpits now though. Luckily it's not freaking out all the time, you know? Yeah.
It's weird, man. It's really weird how losing people that you love inevitably is one of sometimes the only thing that can like cause us to want to like self-examine and like change and also look at what you are grateful for, because, you know, even like sometimes I've been trying to do this when I leave the studio at night, or like even when I get there in the morning or something, I'll like look around and just be like, damn, I'm so lucky that we have this. This could burn down tomorrow or like tonight. Like, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. And like, I don't even know if I'm going to like make it home. Like, what if I die in a car accident or, you know, what if, I don't know. It's like, I really do think about that often now, to where it's like, all right, I'm alive. Like, I'm here. Like, be here. And it's so hard to remember that. And
you
like,
can't be present if you're always like working on. Now I've been like learning that just through like therapy and a bunch of stuff too. It's just I live my life with such high anxiety, but also like hyper focused on these things and doing all multiple things at once. And then once that was all taken away, I was like a fucking shell because I had nothing.
You didn't know where to direct your attention.
Yeah, because it's like I always had like this kind of thing that I could put all my energy and stuff to, and then that was just running wild. And it's like to kind of take some time and be like, all right, this can either be the worst fucking thing that's ever happened to me, or I can make this into like starting me off to be, you know, a better person. And like, yeah, maybe my skin is falling apart right now and I don't know what's going on, but I think once I get my pits figured out, like I'm in a pretty good position, I feel like.
I would agree. Yeah, dude, it's the more time that goes on to, you know, I like that you said that, because it's like there really isn't a middle option. It's like you either allow it to make your life worse, or it makes you better. Because what happened already happened. Like the fact that we lost Andy, that's what happened.
Yeah.
So you only have, like, are you going to make the best of it and make it beautiful and look at all the beautiful stuff that's coming out of it and all the support and love of the fans and the community that you guys have built together from kids to now. And like, there is so much more positive energy in that, in like supporting those fans and thinking about them, and then worrying about what we, you know, don't have.
Right.
But being able to also examine what we've done wrong, what we can do better, so that we can crush in the future and do whatever. But like, man, it's been a wild last couple of years, dude.
Yeah, it's been really insane, and we're making it out. And, you know, I think, yeah, just that whole sucker thing was just like, it set us up for, you know, whatever we're going to end up doing. But I'm so glad that turned out the way it did, and that we put in the work the way we did. And, you know, I think we made a lot of right choices, and it just went great for like once. And we have such a long story as a band, and for a lot of our story, things did not go right and things did not go great. And, you know, it's still now, like, obviously things did not go right and things did not go great when you wish they would. But it's like, once you take away that control and you take away the judgment, and it's like,
dude, the judgment.
I'm fucking happy about that.
What do you mean by that? Explain that.
Well, it's just like looking at things without judging it. You know, it's like, dude, we made all these mistakes. We can either live our life being like, oh, if we just did that, you know, like so many people live their life where if I just hadn't gotten injured, I would have been on the MLB in my life. I'd be in a beautiful house. I have this beautiful car. And it's like, and even if so, like, who's to say that you would have had all that, you know? And it's like, you can look at any good thing or bad thing that might be wrong, or things that are different, things that are out of your control, and like do it without judging it and just accepting and just saying, like, you know, if you don't feel well and you're like, you say, oh, like, I don't feel well. But if you think of it as like, I don't feel well, you're kind of goes, if you can like look at that as like a non-judgmental thing of like it's just happening, that's fact, and that's all right. You know, it's like, I figured it out. So we made so many fucking mistakes. We made so many wrong moves. We went left when we should have gone right. There's so many other times too that we did the exact right thing. It's like, maybe we wouldn't get that one opportunity if we didn't fuck up the opportunity before it, you know?
And the thing is too, like, I think, unfortunately, the way human beings work is like, sometimes you have to make mistakes in that first person point of just literally making the mistake in the real world for you to learn the lesson. And there's so many times where people can tell you, hey, don't do this, but you're not going to learn that until you do it. You realize how much it sucks, and then you change.
Yeah.
So like, you know,
it's like the hot stove as a kid.
Yeah.
Like, don't touch it.
And that was me as a
like,
kid.
Like,
always.
Oh, fuck, that hurts, you know?
For sure.
So,
but I mean, I think, I don't know. It's cool to have an episode where we talk more about Sucker, because really that's kind of where things left off, you know? And like, that's where, you know, I think for the fans that enjoyed Sucker, they have stuff to like seriously look forward to.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool thing. You know, just I'm glad that that's, you know, the second episode back from our little break, because the band is taking a break from doing anything public or talking about anything public with the band. So, you know, I think from now on out, Like,
We'll talk
can
about
put a
stuff
pin
we've
on it,
done, though.
but Sucker really brings us up to where we've been and what we've been going through, and not in a sad way, but it's also like this
Yeah.
exciting thing. And yeah, I'm excited for more camp podcasts. I'm excited for whatever the future holds, and I think we should put a pin in it now.
And dude, straight up, I know we've said this on the podcast before too, but like for anyone that does listen to this podcast and like you've been an avid like listener of Katastro and you've come to our shows and you buy our merch and Camp Fest and all you guys that like really love and support the band, like thank you guys.
Yeah.
Like for real, because we are understanding in real time as this whole thing has happened, losing Andy, how important you guys are to what this even is that we're doing. And it makes me feel like we're seriously doing something with purpose when you guys show up and you are there for us and like you're listening to them. It's just, it's a
hearing
really,
like our own stories back to us that people like connected with or they thought was funny, and like just
Yeah.
different things. Like it's beautiful. I love.
I just
that.
feel like super grateful for all the people that do support our band and give us a chance to even continue doing this. And like, you know, it's really dope. So we'll see you guys next ep.
Yeah, we'll see you next
Next
week
step
with
with
the
some
Camp
fresh
podcast. Yeah.
Love y'all. Peace.